Hi everyone. Let us today talk about data quality checks using data validation in SQL. So the purpose of this is to ensure accurate inputs. So data quality checks using data validation, of course, are essential for ensuring that the data within a database is accurate, consistent, and reliable. These checks help us to identify and prevent errors, your incorrect entries, your duplicates, and inconsistencies. By validating data at various stages, businesses can maintain high data quality, which will be critical for reporting, analytics, as well as decision making. Right. So the accuracy of data is needed because the data should represent the correct values or information. So data must be complete because your data must include all the necessary elements without missing any data in any fields. The data also has to be consistent, following a standard format and structure. So the uniqueness of data is very important to ensure that your data doesn't contain duplicates, ensuring that each entry is unique. Timeliness. Data must be up to date, and a check for timeliness is important if you want the data to be up to date and relevant for the intended purpose or use. Now, a high quality database is definitely essential to support accurate analytics, reporting, and decision making. Now, let us see what are the common data quality checks that are available in SQL for data validation. So we have a lot of commands wherein you can validate the data at the entry level using constraints in a query. So probably the first constraint that you can use is not null if you want your data to be complete. Any field while you are declaring can be ensured as not null, right? Similarly, you can also put a data type constraint so that the user will have to enter the data belonging to the right data type. Now, there is also another constraint called unique constraint, which highly discourages duplicate entries in a row. So, if you specify a particular column as unique, there will not be duplicate entry. The first time you enter, it allows. The second time you enter, you try to enter the same unique value, the field which is defined as unique, it will not allow you to enter. Now, similarly, you can also use a check constraint. These constraints are available in your SQL. Check constraint. It will allow you to define specific conditions that data in a column must meet. Maybe the value range or the format in which you enter, lowercase or uppercase, or probably the value being numerical value being positive or only negative, like that. You also can define foreign key constraints to enforce your referential integrity by linking records across tables. This ensures that values in a column match values in a related column from another table. So this will help to maintain data consistency across tables. Now the default values also you can give if by any chance the user doesn't have any input for that field. You may actually specify a default value to fill in that column. Apart from this regular constraint that you can use in your SQL, you also have advanced quality checks. Now, one such advanced quality check is duplicate detection. So you can write a code using group by and having clause to find duplicate entries in a table, right? For example, finding duplicate emails or finding duplicate IDs. If you haven't entered those constraints while defining your table, you can also do this checking once the table is created and delete those duplicate rows. You can also write codes for data range validation. You will be able to check that values fall within acceptable ranges which will help actually ensure your meaningful data. And any data any rows that do not fall in this, that do not end up being valid, can be deleted or dropped. Similarly, using regex, you can always use your pattern matching techniques to ensure that certain fields like email addresses, phone numbers, or postal codes, right, using the like function of regex, you can validate patterns. Similarly, you can also ensure that foreign key values have corresponding records in the reference table to maintain data consistency. So such referential integrity validation also can be done. You also can detect outliers when you are trying to validate your data range. Outliers can indicate data entry errors. Not all the time. Sometimes outliers are a possibility or indication of variability in data, but outliers can also indicate data entry errors. So use statistical methods or specific threshold checks to identify the outliers. Now, so at input level, when the user is finally inputting, usually your SQL is not a standalone code. It will have a front end where probably the end user is entering their inputs, and that is being processed at the back end through your SQL, maintaining all these entries into a data table. That will be further used by remaining applications. Now, when the user is entering an input itself, we could validate the input at the application level or front end level. So to restrict incorrect entries, ensuring that data that reaches the database is already pre-validated, right? We can write stored procedures with certain validation logic to enforce data validation and sanitation before data is inserted into your table. Similarly, you can actually write triggers for these automatic checks with some action. Like, for example, every time a data is inputted in the front end application, you will write a code that will trigger these checks to happen. You can also set triggers periodically, right? You can also use audit tables for detecting whenever data changes. Go check the data and validate it, right? So we can also schedule daily, weekly, or monthly checks on the data. So in this way, we can monitor and report incorrect data or inconsistent data. So we regularly can run SQL scripts to identify data quality issues and generate reports on that. Similarly, we can also automate data quality checks in a production environment. So automated scripts, or ETL we call it, extract, transform, and load process, ETL processes, they can be scheduled to validate data quality at regular intervals. So we have a lot of tools such as Apache or NiFi or Informatica. So these tools integrate with SQL databases to automate these checks. In this way, by implementing comprehensive data validation and data quality checks in SQL, organizations can ensure data accuracy, consistency, and reliability. These practices, ranging from your simple constraints in SQL queries to complex integrity checks, form the foundation of high quality databases that support accurate analytics, reporting, and decision making. So this is the end of an overall picture of data quality checks using data validation in SQL for ensuring accurate inputs. Thank you.